let's dive right into this explainer, because today we are unpacking the incredibly turbulent history and the absolute architectural mystery of the Obelisk of Axum. We're going to look really closely at a monument that totally stretches our understanding of ancient engineering, and, it also carries this surprisingly dark modern geopolitical legacy. So if you're someone who appreciates ancient history that essentially reads like a thriller, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to break down the timeline, the bizarre structure, and the buried secrets of an empire that's largely been lost to time. So, right off the bat, to understand just how bizarre this artifact actually is, we have to start with an architectural anomaly that has literally baffled historians and engineers for centuries. I mean, think about it. How do you move 160 tons of solid granite without a crane? Keep that question in the back of your mind as we go through this, because the answer, or really, the complete lack of an answer, is what makes this whole topic so utterly fascinating. We are dealing with something that physically just shouldn't exist the way it does, at least not with the tools they had back then. The Obelisk of Axum, which is located in modern-day Ethiopia, is an astonishing 1,700 years old. Just pause and think about the sheer weight of that time. We're talking 17 centuries of rain, wind, empires collapsing, and human history just passing by. And yet, this structure was conceptualized, carved out, and erected to completely stand the test of time. When we talk about antiquity, we usually picture ruins that have crumbled to dust, right? But the creators of this monument built something designed to aggressively dominate the landscape for millennia. Now, let's talk about that weight again, because it is absolutely staggering. 160 tons of solid stone. This isn't a structure built from hundreds of smaller, easily transportable bricks that were meticulously stacked over a few decades. No, it is a single, uninterrupted mass of rock. Moving 160 tons today requires immense industrial machinery, heavy-duty logistics, and just a massive amount of modern engineering. Yet the creators of this obelisk somehow managed to maneuver this incomprehensible weight using methods that are completely, totally lost to us today.
And it's tall. Standing at a towering 24 meters, it's a monolithic monument carved entirely from a single, massive piece of granite. That word, monolithic, is crucial here. It literally means one stone. Just imagine the insane precision required to quarry a 24-meter-long piece of solid granite without it fracturing or cracking or just breaking under its own immense pressure. To then transport it, raise it completely vertical, and secure it so perfectly that it still commands the Ethiopian sky. That is an absolute triumph of ancient human willpower.
But here's where things get kind of weird. The really bizarre choices come down to the creators intricately carving the stone to look exactly like a modern multi-story building. This wasn't just a smooth pillar of rock. They painstakingly carved fake windows and fake doors right into the solid granite. It creates this eerie, almost futuristic illusion. Why on earth would you design a solid block of stone to mimic a high-rise building with entryways that lead to nowhere and windows that just look out from solid rock? It adds these surreal layers to the mystery of what exactly the architects were trying to communicate to us.
Because there is absolutely zero evidence of cranes or cement ever being used in its construction, ancient legends sprang up pretty quickly to fill the void of our understanding. Local myths and historical whisperers claimed the obelisk was built by literal giants who could toss boulders like pebbles, or that it was erected through some sort of forgotten levitation technology. I mean, when standard archaeology turns up zero evidence of cement to hold it or cranes to lift it, human imagination naturally just turns to magic and giants to explain the impossible reality standing right in front of them.
Which brings us to the ultimate question. If they could construct an impossible monolith like this without modern machinery, who exactly were the Aksumites? The people capable of engineering a 24-meter, 160-ton fake high-rise out of a single rock weren't just some small wandering tribe. They possessed incredible organization, immense wealth, and deeply sophisticated knowledge. Yet, for a long time in popular history, they've kind of been relegated to the shadows.
Well, the truth is, the lost Aksumite Empire wasn't just a small local kingdom. It was remarkably one of the four major global powers of the ancient world.
They stood shoulder to shoulder with legendary empires like Rome and Persia. Think about that for a second. We all know about the Romans, we all know about the Persians, but the Aksumite Empire commanded that exact same level of global authority, trade, and influence. They were absolute titans of the ancient world, and their monumental architecture was a direct reflection of that unrivaled dominance.
But, as you can probably guess, a monument of this magnitude doesn't just sit quietly through history. A symbol of ancient power like this naturally attracts modern empires looking to legitimize themselves. By the 20th century, this ancient rock actually became the tragic center of a modern geopolitical drama. The Obelisk of Axum wasn't just an artifact anymore, it became a coveted trophy, a prize to be stolen.
Its traumatic modern journey began in 1937, when it was aggressively plundered during the Italian occupation by Mussolini's fascist regime. They took this entire 160-ton ancient marvel and transported it all the way to Rome as a spoil of war. It was meant to be a symbol of fascist conquest. For decades, it stood completely displaced from its rightful home. It wasn't until 2005 that it was finally returned to Ethiopia. But tragically, to actually make the journey back, this ancient, perfect monolith had to be returned in pieces.
Thankfully, the obelisk is finally home and standing tall again in the Ethiopian sky today. But as archaeologists began to carefully dig into the earth beneath its massive granite shadow, they uncovered a startling, dark twist. You see, for all these years, the focus was entirely on what was reaching up into the heavens. No one fully realized what the obelisk was actually pointing down toward, buried deep beneath the surface of the earth.
Descending from that towering 24-meter height, deep down into the darkness, archaeologists discovered massive underground royal burial chambers. This whole thing wasn't just a monument, it was a marker. Down in the dark, they found a chilling subterranean world filled with sacrificial altars, immense ancient treasures, and the dark elite secrets of the empire. The obelisk was essentially a giant granite tombstone for a tremendously powerful, incredibly wealthy, and deeply complex ruling class that took their darkest rituals straight to the grave.
Which really just leaves us with one final haunting thought as we look at the vastness of this ancient power. We have a 160-ton monolith we can barely understand, and a sprawling, treasure-filled sacrificial crypt hidden directly beneath our feet. It completely begs the question, what other elite secrets, forgotten technologies, and lost treasures remain totally hidden in the granite shadows of the Aksumite Empire? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating piece of history with me in today's Explainer, and keep questioning the shadows of the past.